Hi, it's Jeff here, and I'm in the Pembroke Street Cemetery in Pembroke, New Hampshire. It's right along a main drag, so you see here a lot of cars in here. And I'm visiting the gravesite of Thomas W. Knox, who lived from June 26, 1835 until January 6, 1896. He was a very well-known author. Now, I've driven by this cemetery thousands of times. It's only a few miles from my house, so I keep seeing this stone, Thomas W. Knox, author and traveler. So I finally wanted to figure out who he is, or who he was. He was a New York Herald correspondent during the Civil War. That was kind of how he got his claim to fame. He also wrote 45 books about travel. He would travel the world and go to all these different places that people had never seen before. What happened to him also, my research, is that he wrote too much about the Vicksburg campaign, and so he ended up being charged with being a spy, though he was later acquitted of that, so he must have, using a lot of sources in those days, probably wasn't a wise thing to do. He traveled the world in the 1880s. He published articles about faraway exotic places I mentioned, like the Sahara, Siberia, Japan, China, and the Far East. And a lot of his books you can actually find on Project Gutenberg. It's a website, gutenberg.org, where they publish books that are now public domain, no longer have copyright. So you can find a lot of his books online. And I've read through a few of them. I don't think I've read an entire novel by him, but one of them particularly interests me, I will tell you. It's one of his more interesting works is called The Underground World, A Mirror of Life Below the Surface, published in 1877. He explores mines, caves, quarries, the Paris catacombs, underwater, and then of course one of my favorite subjects, for those of you who watch my channel, he also went into a bunch of wine and beer cellars, I think particularly in Poland, places like that. So he goes into much detail about his wine and beer cellars, about the storing of beer and wine casks, and of course drinking beer and wine, and drinking beer and wine, and drinking beer and wine. Let's just say he had a chance to try a lot of beer and wine during his exploration of these various places. And he talks about how, one of the things I like, he talks about how every beverage was their last beverage, but the proprietor wanted him to try it all. Several glasses of wine later, he explains that the staircase leading out of the cellar felt a lot narrower. Let's take a closer look at his stone. How's that? So this is the stone of Thomas W. Knox. Right here at the front of the cemetery, right along the main road, as I mentioned. And let's take a walk around it so you get a better look at it. You can see behind it there are a lot of old stones in here. Stones that mostly go back to the 19th century, early 20th century. So, and I know there are a lot of YouTubers who like to travel through cemeteries to see what kind of stones are in there. I watch a lot of those videos, quite enjoy them. So this would be a nice one for someone to explore sometime, perhaps. It's not huge, but it's a nice one. Now here's the back of the Knox tomb. You can see all the cars zipping by along busy Route 3. Nehemiah Knox, maybe his father, I should look it up, and Jane Knox. So there you go. It's maybe his parents. I should look that up, but I don't know for the sake of this video. I'll add it if I think it's necessary. And now we go around this side. There's a nice looking stone. Stands perhaps 6 feet tall. Then it's, of course, it's on this higher, it's brought up like this, as you can see, the little platform. So that'll do it for this visit to my cemetery. I may be doing more of these. I've done a lot of genealogy research over the years in my life, and part of that involves walking through cemeteries, looking for tombstones of relatives and ancestors. And so I am very familiar with walking through cemeteries, and I think maybe not this one so much, but they're kind of a peaceful place to kind of go to and kind of wonder what kind of lives that people led. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you again some other time.